RootsReggaeRadio.com is live and plugged in.
And you're listening to Artists in the City on Roots Reggae Radio. This is Mally, aka Docuvixen, and this is our first show. And I'm really excited to have in the studio with us Caribbean Commerce Magazine, and we have Esther and Oswald with us.
I'm Esther Fields of Caribbean Commerce Magazine, here with.
And I'm Oswald Fields with Caribbean Commerce Magazine, and we're here to represent the work we're doing, and big up all the people that have been supporting Caribbean Commerce Magazine over the last little while.
So why don't we go through the journey of Caribbean Commerce Magazine, maybe talk about how you got started and, you know, the journey to where it is now.
Caribbean Commerce Magazine was actually the brainchild of our founder, which is our brother, Anthony Fields. Whilst we were down in Jamaica for Jamaica Fest last year with Carl MCK Wilson. Caribbean Commerce Magazine has its roots actually in a project that Oz and Anthony were working on, an online magazine called Drum Cultures. So out of that, Caribbean Commerce Magazine was truly born.
And so when was that?
That was last July, 2012 in Jamaica.
Yeah, well, even before that, with Drum Cultures, we were exploring stories, and what people's stories are, what they had to contribute to the culture. And I'm a drummer myself, and I was going at it as a sort of like inquiring into what drummers are doing. And then we started to expand and branch out, and we were available for something more adventurous.
Awesome. So it sounds like it's a family affair. So maybe talk about how it is to actually put on a magazine with your family.
We love that question.
Well, that's, my brother and sister, partners in this endeavor with MCK. I knew them as my brother and sister, but I never knew them in their professional capacities. Esther has been working in banking, and Tony's been working in computers and graphics down in the States. So this whole other side of them is something that I'm just discovering through the magazine. And I must say I'm totally impressed by that, what they're doing.
And for me, I just felt it was like a next natural move because I recently retired from banking after 27 years. Don't even start to count those numbers,
wow.
Mally. And it's something that my dad always said that we should work together someday. So I think this path was already kind of set for us to do this.
And it seems like each person has their role. So maybe go through of like the team and each role that they play.
Well, I would probably start off with Anthony being the technical wizard behind the whole thing, conceptualizing the idea and doing the background, the back end of the whole technological work to get it on the digital platform. So it's his concept and his technology behind there. But then there is my part, which is the stories of business people, the stories of people wanting to make a better life for themselves, the stories of people who are taking up sort of an entrepreneurial way of thinking and functioning. So that's what I've been doing. I've been going after those stories and trying to tell those stories. And Esther?
I'm doing the circulation part of it, finance and circulation director, making sure that our magazine gets out to the masses and that it's viable. And MCK Underground in Jamaica, he's our marketing director and basically our connector, and he's doing that part of the business. So we have very defined roles, but when we put them together, we're able to put out the Caribbean Commerce Magazine in its form right now.
So where maybe let's kind of step back to where you guys are coming from and where are you from in the Caribbean diaspora?
And that's a great one too. We are, myself, Oz, and Tony are born Trinidadians. We grew up in Montreal, and Carl is from Jamaica, and he studied and worked out here in Calgary, but had recently gone back to Jamaica, and that's where we started. And when we went to Jamaica last year for Jamaica Fest, we got together, and this is how the idea was born. So, and the intentions is actually to spread the word out to other Caribbean countries. We're looking at Trinidad, Barbados, next, Grenada. We have reach in Haiti, places like that. So that's our forward thinking dreams. It's for the Caribbean.
Yeah, for the Caribbean, and also in terms of like origins. Just to step back a little bit, growing up in Montreal, we got exposed to the diaspora and the people of the diaspora, whether they're from Haiti or from Jamaica. And for myself, I had a special or feeling for Jamaica, growing up with Jamaicans in Montreal. And it always had a kind of symbolic place in my mind. And I never thought I would get to Jamaica, but last year I got there twice and had a blast of a time, enjoyed myself, and met people with a very different feeling for life. And I really enjoyed that. So we're bringing a lot of that vibe to Caribbean Commerce magazine, and talking about what these people do as a people, like economically, creatively, artistically.
So maybe talk about when you're like, oh, this was sort of a eureka moment when you're like, okay, let's do a magazine that's interactive.
Yeah, well, that one, it's not really a eureka moment per se, but maybe a series of eureka moments where we've got synergies going in different directions. We've got synergies going between Esther and MCK Carl, who were on the ground in Jamaica. And we have another set of synergies going with my brother and myself here working on drumcultures.com. So bringing these together, we have a whole other entity called that we called Caribbean Commerce Magazine, and that has two parts to it actually. There's a magazine part, the digital part, which, by the way, can be downloaded on iTunes. But there's also the business part of it, which is called the connectors, which is hooking up businesses together and hooking up businesses and governments, private and public sectors together. So there's a whole, it's not a straightforward magazine like you might see a hard copy paper magazine. It's a digital magazine, but also a digital platform for people to function on business-wise, creatively also.
Yeah, I was just looking at it, and it seems that you have, a place where you could also read about the stories, but then listen to the artist's music, and there's a video function. So maybe talk about a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is a really cool piece that we like to show off. Because it presents great opportunities for us to develop on this platform. So what we're doing in terms of our entertainment commerce piece is that we are bringing artists into the platform, and here we're able to tell their stories, and also with embedded in the application as well, you can listen to the artists' songs, releases. You can buy tickets to shows that they'll be performing at. We're looking to expanding it a bit to be able to probably look at tracking intellectual properties, things like that is what we're looking to do with building with the artists.
So how does that work with, just this came up to me, but like, is it also a distribution platform, or is it specifically just a platform to showcase to get to the artists?
I don't think we're at the distribution level yet. Now we're evolving in a number of streams. So right now it's just showcasing the artists, what they're doing, getting their biography. But the platform is like strong enough to accommodate things like that. So that's going to be in the future for us.
Because you have 2 issues out right now, right?
Right. So we have issue number 1, which we call Caribbean Commerce Magazine, The Connectors, and that was our first stab at putting out this digital application, which is available on the iPad. We started the first issue really with the context of putting the folks that we've met and that we've interviewed and that we've connected with in the magazine, telling their stories in the hopes of also developing our connector piece of it. And we were quite successful in that manner because just as a sideline, we had a couple of stories from in our first issue. We've actually connected them to actual work that's going on in Jamaica right now. And so now we have our issue number 2, which will be coming out shortly. Sometime during the week, next week is what our target is, and we're on time. And that is going to lead with a story of China in the Caribbean, so which is a huge hot topic, and we're hoping to get some good feedback from that.
And that particular story takes advantage of one of the features of our app, which is translation. The China story is called The Dragon and the Hummingbird, those two symbolic elements of those different parts of the world. And what it does is that it goes into the implications of China investing heavily in the Caribbean. And we also translate it into Chinese. By a couple of taps on the app, you get a Chinese reading of it. So we're hoping that it not only strikes in the Caribbean, but farther afield into Chinese reading peoples.
I saw that you were part of Jamaica TV, or you were on Jamaica TV. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Well, I was the with myself and my brother Anthony. We got into CVM TV and we did some interviewing with them there, and that was a lot of fun. Trying to communicate what we're doing on a television platform, trying to remember everything as the mind goes blank. And that was a little milestone, a little post, a little marker that told us that we had hit some of our marks. We said we're going to go to Jamaica, we're going to do this, X, Y, and Z, and this was one of the marks we wanted to hit, was to get out there, talk to people, show them what we're doing, and make them feel friendly towards Caribbean Commerce Magazine.
Mm-hmm. And whilst we were in Jamaica, like Oz said about our milestone, one of our goal was to, and still is, get the government agencies involved in what we're doing, and for the government agencies to use us as a platform to do that networking, to bring those ideas out and to let the rest of the world know, well, this is what's needed or this is what we're doing. So we're giving investors or and entrepreneurs and other business and other governments an opportunity to look at the Caribbean from a different perspective. We want to get on the map as far as commerce is concerned, because although we're really good for beaches and our coconut trees and our lovely vacation time, and we go there and we have a blast, there's a big, huge element, and this is what we experience in Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean too, Trinidad, Barbados. There's huge opportunities for commerce, and we know that it's going on, but we're not hearing about it enough. We're not in there enough, and we're just trying to use this magazine as an opportunity to capitalize on that and put the Caribbean on the map. So when you talk about commerce, there we are too,
Yeah, I think it's also like building infrastructure within the region. It sounds very similar to like film, because our music is exported all over the world. Our literature is, but the infrastructure for actually a film and for us to tell our own stories, it's still kind of we're still getting there.
Yeah, people are feeling their way. As we were talking, we were like reflecting on this, and we noticed that recently, Jamaican Toronto director Sud Sutherland came out with a film called Home Again. And it's called, and the tagline is very interesting. Sometimes home is the last place you want to be. And I thought that was very interesting vis-a-vis what we're doing, because one of our first stories was about a man named Percival Latouche, who has an organization that helps people who are trying to transition back home in the Caribbean, specifically Jamaica right now. And what he's doing is trying to get those people savvy to how Jamaica is today, you know, not what you have in your mind from way back, but to give you the real deal and to tell you what's happening in the culture now. So Sud's coming out with his movie, and us coming out with this story called The Resettlement Man in the first Caribbean Commerce magazine seemed to me a nice little bit of dovetailing in terms of where people's heads are at, you know. We think that that's a nice little coincidence that tells us that we're on the pulse in some way.